Welcome to my safe house. Let me see your wrist. Yep, looks like you've been bitten. Luckily, I have a cure. Drink this. That was bleach. Well, I'd say we've got about 15 minutes before you get back up and start trying to kill me. So, let's have a brief recap of the last 2 weeks.
Project Zomboid is a simulation of what would happen were the world to experience a global pandemic. That's a bit on the nose. To summarize, they made a game with zombies in it, that runs like PowerPoint and plays like Microsoft Windows. You spawn and try to survive for as long as you can, fighting the horde of zombies and the equally deadly horde of early access game mechanics. This game does in fact have lore. What? I had no idea. That may be because the lore is not in any way the focus of the game. It's hidden in radio broadcasts and television shows. But if you're like me, you would have no idea, because who the fuck watches the news instead of life and living for that free woodcraft experience? I'll give you a brief rundown. Basically, everything is going to shit. Survive for long enough and that sentence will become past tense. As you continue to survive, the outbreak consumes the globe, leaving tiny pockets of survivors who are, eventually, consumed by the ever-hungry horde. It is incredibly bleak. Luckily, the story can be pretty much ignored. And if you don't want to experience the nightmare that is reading about a child pleading for their life, trapped inside a car as thousands of undead slowly begin to batter down the windows, I would advise you do so. Where did the zombie outbreak come from? Currently, everything is mere speculation, but there are several predominant theories. Personally, I subscribe to the idea that somewhere in West Point, Knox County, the meat served at a Spiffo's restaurant contained a misfolded protein, which caused the virus. In truth, we don't have a concrete answer, so pick your favorite. That's all the lore that I'm going to give you for now, so let's move on to the... To die in this game, you first have to be alive. Character creation is a zero-sum game, or it was supposed to be. You take positive traits and balance them out with negative traits, worth positive and negative points. Personally, I think some of these are a lot less negative than others. For example, who wouldn't want to smoke in a zombie apocalypse? That's free dopamine and serotonin. In this world, that's a valuable commodity. What exactly are you worried about? Lung cancer? I think you'll find there are more pressing concerns. There are also several professions to choose from. Unemployed, which gives you access to free skill points and a proficiency bonus in moderating subreddits. Fire officer, which makes you stronger, faster, and fitter. Policeman, which gives you a proficiency bonus with guns. Park ranger, which gives you a proficiency bonus with nature. Construction worker, which gives you the highest suicide rate per capita in all of New Zealand, and also lets you hit people with a hammer. Security guard, which is good for stealthy players. Burglar, which lets you steal cars that have gas in them. Chef, which is objectively the worst class in the game, allowing you to cook delicious meals during the apocalypse, which means absolutely nothing when a fully cooked sausage and pea stir fry restores less hunger than a box pancake cooked in a microwave. Repairman, which is great if you want to be able to repair your tools when they shatter on impact of the soft, fleshy zombie exterior. Farming, which is great for walling yourself off and subsisting on lettuce from the rooftop of an industrial warehouse. Fisherman, which is great for reeling fishes. Doctor, which is great for healing bitches. Veteran, which is absolutely amazing, preventing you from getting panicked, which decreases your accuracy while fighting a horde of zombies. Nurse, which is like playing doctor for people with social anxiety. Lumberjack, which is great for attracting every single fucking zombie in a 20-kilometer radius. Fitness instructor, which is great for people with ADD who can't stay in the same place for longer than 5 minutes. Burger flipper, which is the perfect profession for day traders during the apocalypse. Carpenter, which is objectively the best class in the game, letting you build bases. Electrician, which lets you steal ovens and generators to connect to your carpenter's base. Engineer, which, just like in real life, will make you regret not picking carpenter or electrician. Metalworker, which is like a carpenter that has traded the soft, supple frame of wood for a hard, inflexible metal pole. Or mechanic, which lets you repair and maintain cars. Which is actually pretty good. Once you've come up with a build that you think is good, spawn and then die immediately, as you underestimated the consequences of building a deaf man in a world where it's 8 billion to 1 and you can't see behind you. As for the gameplay, I would describe your goals using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Only once you've satisfied your physiological need for water, food, and nicotine will you be able to begin gratifying your psychological needs. Let's walk up the pyramid together. Safety needs, fulfilled by setting up and clearing a safe house so you have somewhere to return to after your character suffers the pain of a 20 minutes in and out adventure to the local gas station. Belonging and love needs, fulfilled by killing zombies. Esteem needs, fulfilled by killing zombies. Cognitive needs, fulfilled by picking Fast Reader and combining the contents of several Whitcools into your own Library of Alexandria. Aesthetic needs, fulfilled by picking Carpenter, stealing furniture and televisions, and fulfilling the New Zealand dream of home ownership. Self-actualization, taking control of your situation. This typically begins once you unlock the shotgun. Transcendence is achieved only once you realize this game is not actually about killing zombies. This game is an early access fishing simulator with elements of gardening and animal husbandry. How you go up this pyramid is entirely up to a combined input of RNG, luck, and your own skill at the game. So, instead of telling you what could happen, I'll tell you some things that did happen. To me. Like any normal day, I woke up, grabbed several cans of Watty's baked beans from the cupboard, and stepped outside. It appears that I spawned in Pamure. Looking at this shed, I found a gas can, which is extremely useful as I am a burglar. This means I can steal the Tesla in the driveway of every Pamure resident thanks to the government's electric vehicle rebate. However, this game takes place when Elon Musk was still a sperm in the testicles of a South African emerald slave. What exactly am I implying? The truth is, you'll never know. What we do know, however, is that because of this, all cars require fuel. Fortunately, as an Auckland resident, my character is adept at siphoning petrol from cars to avoid the $3 per litre prices at the local Z station. After looting a few more houses, I found some more valuable survival equipment and moved towards the city centre. On the way, I found an abandoned car park with plenty of vehicles perfect for committing the New Zealand national pastime of breaking into your neighbour's car. After looking up the vehicles on CarJam, I determined only one was likely to be in good condition. Exploring the residential zone, I needed a place to sleep, so I attempted to break into one of the many houses. This is where the game's excellent attention to detail really started having observable consequences. After my character's brand new Nike Air sneakers were shredded by the rough, abrasive surface of the grass, he took them off. I thought nothing of it and continued. Then, in order to get into the house, he delicately smashed the window open. Safely avoiding grievous injury to his hands, he carefully picked each and every shard of glass out of the frame. Satisfied with his work, he vaulted over, directly, shoelessly, into a pile of broken glass. Needless to say, this was not good. He was quickly bleeding out, and had deep wounds in both of his feet. While he could have covered these in bandages, leaving his feet a prime entry point for bacteria into the bloodstream, my character decided he would like to stay alive instead, and so, naturally, nocturnally, walked outside looking for a needle he could stitch up his gaping wounds with. Luckily, he was in Pamure, so there are needles everywhere. Unfortunately, having 1/4 of a window embedded in each of his feet slowed my character to the uncomfortable shambling speed of a zombie, and he was quickly caught, bitten, and devoured by the horde. The moral of the story is, the fool buys Nike, the wise man buys Tesla. Come to think of it, I actually don't think this was Pamure. I didn't see one single traffic cone. Fuck. Another character I played lived an equally interesting, equally abrupt life. This time, I spawned as a carpenter, in a hotel with lots of towels. Knowing there was plenty of stuff I could dismantle in the hotel, I then spent 4 hours carefully creeping around the dead center of town, slowly collecting the tools I'd need to disassemble the 40 bookshelves, bedrooms, and bathrooms. Then, I stepped outside and fought a single zombie 1v1. Somehow, and I really don't know how, I failed to push the zombie over and they promptly bit me. Knowing the inevitable was approaching, that the virus was already coursing through my bloodstream, and there was nothing I could do about it, I walked into the broom closet and had a nice, smooth glass of concentrated bleach. What is the thread that ties these two stories and every other story in this game together? In both, I slipped up and died. That's the first thing to come to terms with in this game. You are going to die. It only takes one big mistake. There is simply too much content in this game to be experienced in just 1 or 2 lifetimes, especially when they're cut so abruptly short by your own mental handicap. So, I'm going to talk about a couple of other mechanics that I enjoy that couldn't all be covered in the 3 minutes worth of existence I just showed you. GUI. This game doesn't have a conventional UI. There are menus and sub-menus for every action imaginable, however there's little information about your actual status. Hunger, thirst, tiredness, and nicotine withdrawal all have to be gauged by the player based on moodlets and circumstance. The only concrete information you actually have is your health, which goes down based on various injuries. I like this style as it feels more like real life, where I'm acting on instincts rather than trying to fill up some meter. When you're hungry, you eat. When you're thirsty, you drink. 10 out of 10, Game of the Year. Let's talk about guns. Guns are not a recommendation. Guns are a necessity. Guns are the sole barrier separating you from being a worthless, powerless sack of human shit and being an unstoppable force of nature. With guns, you can clear out an entire area in a couple of minutes. However, they are extremely loud, constantly jam, and will attract the entire horde, which will require more ammunition to take out. If you aren't careful, you can overestimate your capabilities, end up surrounded, and shortly after realize that firearms are not very effective at melee range. Before you start shooting, make sure that you set your attack outlines to all weapons. I have no idea why this is not the default setting, but without it, you have genuinely no idea what you're aiming at or how likely it is that you'll hit your target.
And Mexico will pay for the wall.
As stated, carpentry is the best profession. Unrelated, did you know Jesus was a carpenter? Jesus was killed by the Romans. I too am frequently killed by people utilizing broken attack formations far too advanced for the time period. Carpentry lets you build anything. You can build extensions to an existing building or build your own base from scratch. You can even build invincible walls by breaking zombie pathfinding, if of course you hate fun. The biggest disadvantage of carpentry is that you need a lot of wood. I can't cut down trees because the sounds produced by my axe impacting the trunk are far louder than any ambulance siren that you'll find. You'll need to raid the lumberyard, which is, to put it bluntly, occupied by those who lumber at 1 yard per hour. So, bring some guns. Cars. Cars are very important. They require gas, constantly break down, and have windows made from what I can only assume is cling film. However, if you do get one, the map opens up, and you can visit any town including Louisville, which you can't spawn in. You can also, suddenly, transport large quantities of goods from place to place, meaning less round trips to whatever shithole you're raiding. Just remember to turn on the windshield wipers, as you're likely to encounter a lot of bugs on the road, especially in multiplayer.
Fuck!
Unpredictability. Any excursion could end in disaster. You may set off with one goal and return having done something completely different. Or, more likely, you could not return at all. For example, at some point in the game, you're going to hear the sound of helicopter blades. Do not be fooled. This helicopter does not bring you salvation. It is a false prophet and brings only death, destruction, and several 100,000 undead directly into your base. How exactly do you survive this? Well, if you're like me, the first time, you don't. I'll leave that up to you to figure out, as it's one of the primary hurdles to overcome at the beginning of the game. But I will give you a hint. Do not wall yourself off inside. Mods. There are a lot of mods in this game. Some of them are even good. I'm not going to talk about them a lot because this video was supposed to come out well over a month ago. But I will say this. Installing a mod should install its dependencies. Currently, it doesn't. Whoever is responsible for this, please fix it within the coming weeks and you will save at least one player from a cerebral aneurysm.
Well, he's definitely dead. Probably. Anyway, Project Zomboid is a pretty good game. It's also a pretty fun game. It was great to be able to experience the pandemic without having to leave my house. I recommend buying this game to all of my subscribers, who currently consist of people who've already played it with me. To them, I recommend re-downloading it. Anyway, if you'll excuse me, I've got a couple of things to deal with outside. I'll see you all again in 6 months. Okay, maybe 3 months.